This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the Tenba DNA 16 Slim Messenger Bag, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So I should start by saying there are a few different versions of this bag. Let me look at my notes real quick and make sure I get it right. There's the 9-liter Slim, the 13-liter DSLR, the 16-liter Slim, which we have here, and the 16-liter Pro. So depending on what your needs are, what your camera kit looks like, you might want to get a different size. But on the exterior here, as you can see, we have a TPU coated fabric. So this is very water resistant. It's also very durable. Get a nice closer look here. Just a nice combination of materials here. That adds, I mean, it's all black, but it adds some nice contrast. There is also a blue version of this pack, but it also has black accents. So this one is all black, and then there is a black and blue version as well. So the seams on this pack are sealed, so it does very well against water, and there is an included water cover. So if you get caught in like a torrential downpour, you can cover up this bag, and I have that stowed inside, so we'll get there. So there are a few zippers on this bag, even though it is, you know, a messenger style bag. They're from YKK. This one here on the top has a nice fabric welt. No issues with any of the zippers here. They're really easy to operate. No PU coating, so again, if you get caught in a torrential downpour, there is a chance water could sneak inside there, but you have that rain cover if you would like to use it. So no issues with the zippers. On the front compartment here, we have fidlock adjusters there. Very easy to pop them on. You don't need to slide them on, you just pop them on and then they slide off like that. So the more gear you have inside of here, it does get a little bit harder, but you can loosen these up. And I dig this design here with the straps and then this little loop here. So the strap, if you just pull it, it can't come out because it has a little tab there. And it also just kind of keeps it looking nice, and pulled a little too hard there, just kind of out of the way. So I sometimes have problems with fidlocks, but these did not bother me really at all. So shouts out to fidlock on their their closure here. So we have a water bottle pocket on either side, one here and one here. So depending on how much gear you have stored inside of here, and I've typically packed this thing out pretty big, it affects the size of the water bottle you can fit inside. So even when it's, you know, pretty empty, you can't fit like a 32-ounce Nalgene, which is my daily water bottle, but you're gonna be able to fit anything between like 12 and 16 liters depending on how thick it is. And even if you don't want to use it for a water bottle, you can stick other accessories inside of here as well if you choose to. We have a handle here on the top, and there's like a cylindrical piece of foam in there, so very comfortable to hang on to, and you can also get around it with your whole hand, which I like. So if you have a bunch of heavy gear in here, you're gonna want to get a good grip. On the back panel, we have a luggage pass-through that's secured with a piece of a hook and loop fastener there, so easy to use that and kind of out of the way when you're not using it. And something you guys have probably seen is that this pack stands on its own. Depends how much gear you have in it and where the gear is, but I really like that it stands on its own because I can get my gear when I set it down. So on the back panel here, as you can see, there really isn't any dedicated padding or aeration or mesh or anything like that. There is a fair amount of padding in between the interior and exterior of this pack in general, so you're getting quite a bit of that on the back panel here, so it's pretty comfortable. It's a messenger bag, so it's not really like on your back all day. So I did find this to be pretty comfortable, but this TPU laminate or coated material here does get a bit warm. So if you are taking this somewhere where it's hot, this might sweat a little bit, or at least gets you a little bit sweaty. But overall, I found it to be pretty comfortable. On the strap here, inherently it has no padding or aeration. It's pretty wide though, so you can kind of spread that weight out a little bit. And then we have this slider here that you can move around, and it secures with a hook and loop fastener. So you can put it on either side of this adjuster here. And I really like this a lot. So there's quite a bit of padding. It's not super dense, so it's not super thick, but quite a bit of padding. And it's kind of sticky is not the right word, but it's like grippy. So wherever it is on your shoulder, or however you're carrying it, it kind of grips onto you, so it's not gonna slide around, it's not gonna move around. Some people don't really like the feeling of it. I don't mind it, I kind of like playing with it, but it does a lot, at least in my opinion, it helps a lot, just make it not move around and kind of stays in one place. And there also is a stabilizer strap, so let me get this untwisted here. As you can see, we have a little hook right here, or a D-ring, and it attaches with a hook and loop fastener, so you can put it on either side, so it is ambidextrous. And then you can attach it to either side down here. So depending on which way you're wearing it, left shoulder, right shoulder, you can attach that strap, and just adds a little bit of security, especially if you have a lot of heavy gear in here, or if you're cycling or something like that. It's a really good, just kind of commuter style bag. So this is typically how I would wear this messenger bag. And and depending on what I was doing, I might wear it a bit differently. Like I was cycling with this bag and I tightened it up a little bit so it wasn't so far down, because obviously this would be kind of hitting my bike seat. But overall, this, as I said, this grippy, I keep wanting to say sticky, it's not sticky, this grippy part really does a lot, because it's just not like moving around, because this is kind of gripping onto my shirt. And I guess depending on what kind of shirt material you're wearing, that could maybe change how grippy it is, but it just does a lot, at least in my opinion. Also, you have that padding, so you can switch it up if you want to. If I were to be wearing the stabilizer strap, which is inside the pack right now, and I'll show you, it would go from right here, which I have it adjusted, it actually started on the other side, to this clip right here. So that I could tighten that down, and it would just really, because right now it can kind of move like that. And if I were to add the stabilizer strap, it wouldn't be able to do that, because it would be tight like that, which is really helpful if, you know, you're commuting, walking on a bicycle, or even just taking the bus. It kind of just holds it tight to your body. But then again, if you are on the bus and you want to take it off, when you get on the bus, you can't do that as easily. So we've got two secondary compartments to work with here. The first one is on the back side. So this is a nice, you know, wide zipper. And I actually don't have anything in here right now, because this is a pocket for me that you're either going to have a use for it or you're not. And right now I don't, but I did use this while I was testing it. It's just a big flat pocket. As you can see, it goes all the way down to the bottom, both sides, and there isn't really any padding here, so you have a little bit of extra material from the luggage pass-through, but not a lot of padding, so you don't want to put anything you're worried about breaking. But what I use this for is I still shoot film occasionally, and when I went to pick up my film, I think twice while I was testing this bag, I took the negative sleeve that it came in, I just slid this right here, because I know my laptop is in the back, and there was nothing on this side, so I could slide that in there and it was gonna stay flat. I knew it wasn't gonna curl, I knew it wasn't gonna crumple or anything like that. So this was a safe place for me to stick my negatives, when typically I just throw it in the car, or if I took the bus or something like that, it's just kind of with me. And I don't like that, so I was able to put that here, but more practically it works for a notebook or really any flat item. If you were to put something that had a little bit more shape to it, you're gonna feel that on the back panel, because like I said, there isn't a ton of padding there. So flat items do well here. You might not be using negatives still, but stick a notebook in there, whatever you want to, so long as it's flat. Easy to get to, but also a little bit kind of protected as well, because it's resting against your body. So you can get to it if you want to, but not as easy as this next pocket, which is you actually have to go under the flap to get to. So we'll pop this open. This is the first time we've actually gone under here, so you'll see that this is a hook and loop fastener as well. So if you're just, you know, running from one side of the office to the other, you can just leave it like that. But if you're, you know, on the move, you want to do those buckles. So I'll pop this open and we have a pocket right here. So as you can see, we got two zippers, which is ideal, again, because this is an ambidextrous bag. So you can leave the zippers on either side. So when you bring it over this way or you bring it over this way, you have access to those zippers and they're not on the other side. Just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm actually gonna sit this up, so I think this will probably be easier to do this way. As you can see, we have quite a bit of organization inside of here. I don't have a ton of filters and stuff like that, so I didn't use a lot of this space for camera stuff. Typically when I was, you know, out and about with it, I would have the few things I have in here right now, which I have an ND filter, which is a cheap ND filter from Amazon, a SD card and micro SD card case. You never know when you're gonna need some more storage. I don't have anything in these pockets here. So you have a pocket and a pocket. These two are mesh, so you have a lot of stretch there. So you can even fit a lens there if you wanted to. And then these ones are not, so you don't have as much pull from these ones. So you have a big pocket, a little bit smaller pocket, but still pretty good size. Got a nice TPU window right here. So I don't typically have an ID to throw in there. So I actually just have a microfiber cloth stuck in there right now, just so I know, like I can see it, I know it's there, because I like to bring one with me. That's nice though if you're shooting a festival or even just in general, nice to have an ID slot. So if someone finds your bag, they know to contact you, they can get it back to you, because obviously you have a lot of money worth of stuff inside of here. On this back side here, you have this is like a more waterproof material here than these two, and there's obviously a zipper on the top as well. So inside of here, I just have a little GoPro adapter and a GoPro battery. When I'm out and about with my GoPro, I typically have more than that, but that's just what I have inside there today. Quite a bit of space. And you also have a little bit of space inside of here to stow like a camera or a battery charger or something like that if you want a little bit of extra space. So I should note that you can't fit a ton of stuff inside of here, and if you do fit something that's like a little bit bigger inside of here, it affects how the outside looks. This is not a great example, but just like if you were to put that in there, again, not a great example, it just kind of juts out and makes it a little bit harder to secure this hook and loop fastener, because there's just like a little bit of, you know, I don't know exactly what you'd call it, more, you know, elevation change here on the front of the pack. So it makes it a little bit harder, but Again, I really do like this as long as you're using more flat items. So these two secondary compartments are better for flat items. And then when we get into the main compartment, you'll see that's where the big stuff goes. So moving into the main compartment, you actually can use this with camera gear or without it. So I'm gonna start with camera gear because there is a bunch of camera gear inside of here. So with the current kit that I have packed in here, I'm able to fit a little bit of extra stuff on top. So I'm able to put my tech pouch in here, which if I wasn't able to put my tech pouch here, I probably could fit a lot of what's in here inside this front pocket. But this is just easier for me right now, especially, we go through bags every few weeks here, so it's nice for me to do this. But I did test it. All of my tech gear did fit inside of here. My battery bank didn't have a great fit, but that's gonna be up to whatever gear that you personally have. So also I have my GoPro with a little, I don't know exactly what you'd call this, little tripod here. Nice and easy to use, but I have that just kind of sitting on the top. And I like that because this main compartment, whereas we do have this, the big flap, which is the easiest way to get your gear, we have this top zipper as well. So you can get into it like this. So the opening isn't as wide, but if I have my GoPro sitting right here, I can grab it really quickly if I want to get a shot of something. Just a lot quicker to do this than with, my mirrorless camera. So it's nice to have both options. I prefer going in, the old-fashioned way. But if you need something quick, or like, you're a wildlife photographer, you're a street photographer, and you want to grab something very quickly, you can do that with this top flap. So that's why I have my GoPro sitting up there instead of, in here. And I also don't value this as much as what's down here. So that's another reason for that as well. So I'm actually gonna stand up so I can kind of get into this now. So the way this came, it has like 3 different zones of gear. So let me open this up, get these all open, and you can kind of see what I've got going in here. So I have a longer lens in the middle one here. Kind of came out a little bit, just a big, longer telephoto lens. On this side, I have my mirrorless camera, kind of really stuck in there because of how I have it organized right now. As you can see, I got this all twisted up now. I treat this camera kind of poorly, so that's on me, not the bag. This was already knocked off before it was in there. So camera on this side, lens in here, and then I just have some additional accessories over here. So I have the rain fly right here, so you can make sure that your gear stays dry if you get hit in a downpour. And then I also have, where is the stabilizer strap? The stabilizer strap there. Nice, easy. Give you a good view of those. Nice, easy to use, kind of pretty easy to pop off, but doesn't come off when you don't want it to. And then I have another lens down here, a vintage Canon FD with the adapter to my Fuji X-T3. So I was able to fit all of that inside of here, and now you can kind of get a better look at the dividers. So we have these 2 different color dividers, and just the blue ones aren't as thick as the gray ones. The gray ones have more padding. So these are more of the actual dividers, and these are kind of more, the blue ones are kind of more for segmenting your gear. So I'm gonna let me get some of these out of there so you can get a better look at what they look like, because you can really get into the nitty-gritty of organizing these however you want. So depending on what gear you have and what gear you value, as you see, it's actually falling over now because there isn't as much gear inside of there to kind of hold it up. So the less gear you have inside there, the less weight's on the bottom, so it might not stand up. As I went over earlier, when you have your gear in there, it is going to stand up. But you can see the different dividers that we've gotten here, and you kind of see more now that these gray ones are thicker. They have more padding than the blue ones. So this is what you're gonna wanna protect your gear with, whereas these blue ones are more for kind of segmenting things. And that's what, on one side of the divider, I had that lens, and on the other side, I had the stabilizer strap and the rain cover. So let's say you're actually not a photographer. Well, you probably wouldn't buy this if you weren't a photographer, but you're more of a casual photographer and you want to use this as a regular bag too. So you can pull this thing out of here, and now this is out, and you have all of this space to work with to use however you wish. On the back wall here, as you can see, there is a laptop compartment with a hook and loop fastener strap there. So I can pull, this is a 15-inch MacBook, fits in there no problem. Set that to the side. And then we also have another smaller pocket here that you can put a tablet or something like that in there as well. So you can access this when the cube is in there. It is a little bit easier when it's not, but I've had the cube in there for, I would say, 90% of the time, and been getting my laptop in and out multiple times a day with no real issues. So just something to note that if, I don't know, it is a little bit harder, but again, I've been doing it. It's not a huge deal. Now that we have everything out of here, we can see that we can see better, I should say, that there is a gusset on either side of the flap here. So this folds in when you close it, which offers some pretty good water protection, I think. Again, these materials are very water resistant, and for the most part, in most occasions, this bag's gonna protect your gear from water. But if the going gets tough, you can use this rain cover. So overall, I felt very safe about putting my camera gear inside of here. I again want to mention that this was not the fault of the bag. This was already off, and then when I, was trying, normally when I go into this bag, I'm kind of standing above it and pulling it out. So that was me trying to do it on the camera. So just before anyone roasts me in the comments, that was already like that. But I felt very safe with my camera gear inside of here, especially, it's nice to be able to have your camera gear if you're going to and from work, and also have your work stuff. I think that's a very unique thing, especially if you're traveling too. If you were to have all your camera gear loaded up, but there's a day where you're not gonna need your camera, you can take your camera gear out inside of this, set it in your hotel room, and then use this as a day bag. There isn't, a ton of organization inside of here, or I should say none other than the laptop, but for a bag you can bring with you, that's not so bad. So there you have it, the Tenba DNA 16 Slim Messenger Bag. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker. Your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.